Hello there, my name is Dan. Thank you for joining me. Today, I'm reviewing the Garmin inReach Mini. This is a mini version of the full-size Garmin inReach, and it's a satellite messenger that you can send and receive custom text messages, which is pretty awesome. And this video will be a review, not a tutorial, of the Garmin inReach, including whether or not I think it's actually worth it to buy this device. Okay, so what exactly is the inReach Mini? Well, as I mentioned, it's the mini version of the full-size Garmin inReach, which comes in two different types of devices. You have the Garmin inReach SE and the inReach Explorer. And the main difference between those two full-size units is with the Explorer, you can load actual maps onto the device and use it as a standalone GPS product. Whereas with the SE, you cannot do that, as well as with the Mini, you cannot do that because it's obviously a very small screen and it's black and white. However, you can pair the Mini with the Garmin Earthmade app on your smartphone, where you can access full-size maps so you can see your position, as well as control most of the functions of the inReach Mini, including sending out your text messages, which is a lot easier to send using your phone than actually using the device itself. The inReach Mini is also obviously a lot smaller and lighter. It's only 3.5 ounces for this thing versus 7.5 ounces for the full-size inReach. It's also cheaper, $350 versus $400 for the SE or $450 for the Explorer. Now, the main benefit again of any of the inReach devices is the fact that you can both send and receive custom text messages. This is pretty huge, especially if you have a family back home and you want to make sure that not only can you send them messages that you're okay and you're still alive out there, but that you can also receive any messages in case there's any emergency back home. Now, like most satellite messengers, this does require a subscription plan, and you can either purchase it on an annual basis, which will give you a cheaper monthly rate, or you can do what they call a freedom plan and just pay for it month to month, which is more expensive month to month, but it is kind of nice if you don't go backpacking every single month, so then you don't have to pay for the months that you're not out there on the trail. And I'll put a link in the description below so you can see what all the subscription plans look like. Okay, now time for the most confusing part of the video, going over the four different types of messages that you can send from the inReach. First, you can send a preset message, a quick text message, a custom text message, and an SOS. Now, the preset message is probably the most confusing part to understand. So you get 3 preset messages that you can define before you go out in the field. Now, you have to log into your Garmin account through a browser, type up what preset message you want, as well as who the recipients are going to be, and then sync that with the Earthmade app and pair it with your phone via Bluetooth. Now, the preset messages are nice because you get an unlimited number of preset messages that you can send with all the subscription plans. And it's actually the type of messages that I send the most. So the preset messages that I have set up are at the parking lot, just checking in, everything is fine, and at the campsite. And I find that those 3 preset messages really cover pretty much everything that I want to say as far as just checking in, and again, making sure that I'm still alive while I'm on the trail. The second type, the quick text message, is really just kind of like a speed dial for your text message. You also have to log into your account ahead of time and type these up, but it's just a way to send out a text message that's going to be somewhat routine, but you don't have to type it up each time that you do it. Now, you have up to 10 of these quick text messages that you can preset, and these do count against your text message quota that you get through your plan. The third kind is you can send a custom text message, pretty self-explanatory. You just type whatever you want into a text and you send that off. And the last one is an SOS message, which gets sent off to first responders. They pinpoint your location and they send help as soon as possible. Confused yet? Yeah, I know it's a little confusing, but just keep this in mind. Preset messages, you get up to 3, send as many as you want. Quick text message and custom text message, they do count against your text message quota for the month, but with quick, you can just send it off quickly. Custom, it's just like regular texting. And SOS goes off to first responders, they send help. So to show you the device itself, it's pretty simple. It just has up and down arrow keys on the right side. Then on the left side, it has an OK button to advance into whatever screen you're on, a back button, and then the SOS button, which is covered by this little protective cover so that you don't accidentally press it. And the power button on the top, and you can also loop a carabiner to it on the back here, and you can hang it on the top of your pack or on your shoulder strap. Now you can do every single function really on the Garmin inReach itself just by going through these different menu systems. But like I mentioned, you can also pair this with the Earthmade app, which is what I recommend you do, so that you can control most of the functions of the device through your phone, which is a lot easier to do. Now I'm not going to do a full review of the Earthmade app itself, but I will say this, I would give it a solid C+. It's not great, it's not horrible, it does what it's supposed to do, but if you are looking for a more really advanced mapping feature, the Earthmade app is not it. You can definitely see yourself on a map and you can do some basic tracking and mark waypoints and things like that. But if you want something more advanced, take a look at like Gaia GPS or some of the other paid mapping apps that you can get for your phone. The other cool thing about the inReach is that you can get weather forecasts while you're on the trail. I've used this myself before and I find it to be really helpful, especially if you're on a longer trip and forecasts can change over time. So if you want a more updated forecast, you can get that through your inReach. And if you want a basic one, it just costs you a single text message. And if you want a more premium forecast, which gives you some more things with it, you just have to pay $1. And the device itself is waterproof. It's rated to IPX7, which means that it is totally fine in the rain. I would not recommend going swimming with it, but if you're just in a downpour and it's raining on top of it, should be totally fine. All right, on to my likes and dislikes. As far as the things that I don't like about the inReach Mini, I really don't have any dislikes of the device itself. All of my dislikes tend to be more with the Garmin ecosystem. The first one being, again, I'm not a huge fan of the Earthmade app. It's just okay. It's not a big complaint of mine. It really does what it's supposed to do, but it could be a little better. My second dislike also has to do with the Earthmade app, and that's the fact that you cannot send one of your preset messages through the Earthmade app. You have to actually do it on the device itself, which I have no idea why they do that. You can literally control everything else about the device with the Earthmade app except for those preset messages. And it's unfortunate because I use the preset messages most of all, and I tend to have my inReach on the top of my pack, so it's out of reach as I'm hiking. And it'd be really nice just to be able to take my phone and send a preset when I want to check in. Now, in reality, I tend to just send presets while I'm stopped for a break anyway, and my pack is off, so it doesn't really matter that much. And to actually send a preset through the device is really, really easy. Just a couple buttons, and you're done. But nevertheless, it would still be nice to be able to send your preset messages, which you do most often, through the Earthmade app. My last dislike has to do with the whole syncing process with the inReach devices. Again, this is not a complaint of the device itself, more of what Garmin makes you do. So to change your preset messages or your quick text messages or your contacts, you have to actually log into your account through a browser, make those changes, and then sync those changes on your Earthmade app, and then pair the device with your phone using Bluetooth. So it's this three-step process that I don't really understand why they do it that way, instead of just allowing you to make those changes through the Earthmade app and cut out that first step. Not a huge deal. It's not really that hard to do. It's just kind of a head scratcher why they don't let you do that through the Earthmade app. Okay, on to my likes of the inReach Mini. First and foremost, I love being able to both send and receive custom text messages. Like I said before, it is such a peace of mind both for me and my wife back home to be able to not only let her know that I'm still alive on the trail, but also that I know that there's no emergency going on back home, and if there is, my wife has a way to get in touch with me. Now, not that I can do a whole lot while I'm on the trail, but at the very least, I can cut my trip short and head on home. Being able to send and receive messages also has the added benefit if you ever do need to use the SOS function, because then you can actually communicate with first responders while they're on their way. And this is a pretty huge deal in my opinion, because they have no idea generally what is going on with you when you press that SOS button. But if you're able to communicate with them and tell them exactly what is wrong, they can respond a whole lot better. My second like, which I haven't talked about yet, is the Iridium satellite network that this phone uses. Now, the Iridium network is a truly global satellite network. You can literally use this in Chicago as well as on the South Pole. Now, I tend to do pretty much all of my hiking in the lower 48 states anyway, so it may not really matter to me or to you to have a truly global satellite coverage network. But nevertheless, I like it just because I never, ever have to think about, hey, do I have coverage? And the reliability so far for me has been really good. I have never, ever not been able to get a message out or receive one. Now, it totally depends on how clear a view of the sky that you have. But still, anywhere from 2 to 20 minutes. 20 minutes is kind of long, but the fact that I've never been able to not get out a message is a big plus. My other like is it's so tiny. Only 3.5 ounces for this thing is pretty great. And it's a huge advantage over the full-size inReach in my opinion, both in terms of weight and price since it's a little cheaper. I also really like being able to get weather forecasts on this. I did use this while I was on my Dolly Sods trip, and it was super helpful because before I had left, it looked like it was going to be raining and tons of thunderstorms the entire time, but with my forecast, I was able to see, oh look, it changed. There is no rain for today or the next 2 days. So it really helped me tailor what kind of plans I wanted to have while I was out in the field. And my last like, which might seem kind of odd, is actually the Earthmade app. I know I complained about this, I only gave it a C+, but nevertheless, I really like being able to pair this device with an app. I know some other satellite messengers don't even have that type of a feature, so the fact that Garmin at least has an app and the app is still pretty functional is a big plus. Alright, so lastly, is it worth it to spend $350 for this device? Well, the answer to that is really going to depend on what you need from a satellite messenger. If, like me, you do really want the ability to both send and receive custom text messages, then I would really recommend the Garmin inReach Mini, especially over the Garmin full-size inReach devices. I would say the only reason why you would want to buy one of the full-size devices is if you, A, do not have a smartphone and therefore cannot pair this with a smartphone, or B, you do have a smartphone but for whatever reason you're deciding to leave it at home. However, if you already have the full-size inReach, is it worth it to spend $350 just to save 4 ounces? No, at least in my opinion. Now, of course, there are some other satellite messengers out there, and there's a newer one from Spot that can actually both send and receive custom text messages just like the inReach, and that is the Spot X. Now, the Spot X kind of looks like an orange BlackBerry. It has a full-size keyboard, so it does not pair with an app, which is a pretty big disadvantage in my opinion. But that is an option for you to look at. Now, I have so far seen a lot of negative reviews around the Spot X. I'm going to put a link to Section HIKER'S review of the Spot X, which he did a really good job on it, but also check out the reviews on things like REI or Amazon. So I'm definitely not telling you not to get the Spot X. You need to make your own decision on that, but buyer beware, take a look at the reviews before you do. Another satellite messenger that is probably the most popular one is the Spot Gen 3. Now, I have actually used the Spot Gen 3 before, and I generally like it. I think it works just fine. It allows you to send out check-in messages, as well as I think 1, maybe 2 custom check-in messages that you have to preset ahead of time, but you cannot receive any messages, as well as send any custom text messages while you're out on the trail. And it does, of course, have SOS capability, just like the Spot X, and just like actually all the devices I'm talking about right now. They all have SOS capability. But if you do not need to have the ability to receive messages from back home, as well as send out custom messages while you're on the trail, then the Gen 3 is one to take a look at, especially because it is $200 cheaper than the inReach Mini. However, I will say that depending on the plan you choose, the inReach Mini could be cheaper in the long term. If you choose the most basic plan for the inReach versus the most basic plan for the Spot Gen 3, the inReach is a little bit cheaper on that plan. So in the long term, this could be cheaper, again, depending on the plan. Now, one last device to mention. If all you need is the ability to be able to send an SOS message if and when you're in trouble, then I would take a look at a personal locator beacon, or PLB. REI has a couple of them. You can get them on Amazon as well. And the only thing that these devices do is send out an SOS message. That is it. But the big advantage is you do not need to pay for any type of a subscription plan. All you need to do is register the device and put in your emergency contact information and you're good to go. So in the long run, a PLB is much, much cheaper versus any of these other devices. Well, thank you so much for watching. Stick around another minute for bloopers. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, have fun out there. And I'll put a link in the subscription below. The subscription? You can see what the subscription... There. Bugs everywhere. Bubble wrap helps. I think I scared the dog.